All right. So if I have and or are always big answers, that'll be basically all of them. So ors would be all of these put together. So 19. Ands, those are small answers. And piano and dog would only be one on my Venn diagram here. All right, but here's where it gets more complicated. You have to know a different symbol for and or. This is why I had you write this down. This is going to be one really good example of these little symbols. And is this symbol. It's like an upside down U. Put that above the and. And or, we're going to put it this way because there's an O on top of one peg of the U and an R on the top of the other peg of the U. So when I see these, I try to remember it this way. Let's say it says A, U, B. I go, oh, that's the or one. They're saying A or B, okay? If they said apple intersect banana, don't worry, we really won't use the word intersect, but that's what it means. It kind of looks like an N, so I go A-N-D. See how it's or and and? Does that make sense to you? You got to know those two, or and and. All right. There's another one you have to know is not. If this stands for banana, that stands for not banana. Technically, it's called the complement, but again, we're not going to test you on that word. It's much easier to think that this means not. So banana with the little dash, sometimes that's referred to in math as the prime. That little dash thing is called prime. B prime means be not, or the complement of B. So everybody who does not like bananas. All right, now given that terminology, what's P not? The people that don't have a piano. And that would be 16? No. What else? 6. So the 16 and the 6 makes 22. Do you get how P naught is 22? All right. Now, we're going to make a little more complex triple Venn now. Now that you've got the idea of the basics, now we're going to make a triple Venn. And this is going to be for piano. Now, there weren't many people with piano, so we're not going to do piano. Sorry. Trying to think of something else a lot of people would have. How about an SUV? At home, there's an SUV in the family. It is the most common kind of car, is an SUV. And that basically means it's bigger than a normal car, and it's kind of like got more volume that it holds inside of it, okay? So SUV, I don't care. Don't ask me, like, does a RAV4 count as an SUV? Like, just decide if you think you have an SUV or not. The next one's going to be dog. A lot of people have a dog, okay? And the last one's going to be cat. Some people have a dog and a cat and an SUV. All right. So if you don't have any of those, you're over in this little blank right there. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's going to be plenty of people that don't have an SUV, don't have a dog, and don't have a cat. You'll just be in this spot right here. And that's basically not SUV, not dog, and not cat. All right. So you're all somewhere. I'm going to ask in a moment to raise your hand if you're in this group right here. And does that mean that you have an SUV? No, that means you have an SUV only. Like you have an SUV, but your family does not have a dog and does not have a cat. Okay, who's in this blank right here? Who is in the SUV category? There's an SUV, no dog, no cat. 1, 2, 3. Okay, who is in this one, which is SUV and dog, but not a cat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, 11 goes here. Everybody copy these numbers, please. The next one is dog, but not SUV and not cat. So that's dog only. Raise your hand for dog only. 1, 2, 3. Okay, who is in the very middle? Because you got all of them. Dog and a cat and an SUV. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you. All right, 5 is hard to read. I'm going to try again. You know what the most important spot is? It's that one. Once you find the middle one, it gives you tons of info. We're going to make Venn diagrams as part of your homework and part of your tests. The most important spot to put in is the middle one. All right. Next one is this spot right here. You have an SUV and a cat, but not a dog. Raise your hand for that one. All right, that was the most rare one. I figured we'd probably have nobody, and we have nobody. How about cat, but not SUV and not dog? 1, 2, 3. All right. How about this one, which is dog and cat, but no SUV? All right, that's also a 0. And who doesn't have any of the above? Holy crap. So every single one of you has either a dog or an SUV or a cat. See how I did that? Or is a big answer. Okay. All right, so then I add them all up, and we're going to make this one more official. We're putting a box around the outside. We're putting a 0 right here to make it really clear there's nobody that doesn't have an SUV or a dog or a cat. And or is a big answer. So all of these added together goes up in here. So I'm going to add them up quick. 16, 17, 19, 20, 21. I think it adds up to 24, and that makes sense. It's about how many kids are in here. All right. So that's the total of everybody. So when you do a probability, you usually divide by 24. Do you remember the magic word that if I say this word in the problem, then it won't be out of 24? Talk to the kid next to you. What was the magic word from yesterday that if I say this word, it won't be out of 24? Talk to the kid next to you. It is given. I heard many people remembered it. Yay. Given. So if I said given the person has a dog, then you're not going to be taking your answer out of 24, you'd be taking your answer out of all the dog people, which is 11 and 3 and 5. So that's 19. Do you get off? I said, given they have a dog, then it's only out of these 19 that are in here. Now I'll finish my question. Given that they have a dog, what's the probability that they only have a dog? Were you thinking 3 out of 19? Raise your hand if you were. Okay, good. I think you're getting it. All right. Now I'm going to change the question, and I'm going to do it with symbols. Do you remember the symbol? S stands for SUV. That symbol, hopefully you remember what word that is, D. And this is not a probability right now. It doesn't say P of. It just says S. Intersect D. And so this is a number. It's not a probability. It's a how many people. Talk to the kid next to you about what S intersect D really means. The answer is a number. Car, do you think it's 11 or 5? Or both? So here's how you do it. First of all, this means and. And do you remember if ands are big answers or small answers? Small. I'll give you an example. How many of you have a dog and a cat and an iguana and a fish? Now we'll be down to 0. Okay, and is small. All right. So it's a small answer that involves S, which is SUVs, and dogs. Well, SUVs and dogs is probably these two numbers. So is it both of them? So here's how you do it. Really, honestly, I've taught this a long time, and I find this to be the easiest way. You just ask these people, do you have a SUV and a dog? You ask the 11 people, and what would they say? Yes. You'd ask these people. Remember, the question isn't about a cat. The question is just, do you have an SUV and a dog? And would they say yes? Yes, they would. So you put them together, and it's 16. I'm curious, how many of you had 16 in the first place? All right, that's most of you. All right, so how about the other way around? S, union, dog, and there's a little 2-letter word that goes with that. If you aren't already thinking or, I have failed you. And Carlos, are or answers big or small? They're big. So a big answer involving SUVs and dogs, it's all of the things that are in SUV and, no, not and. It's an or question. You just have to have an SUV or a dog, and that means those two circles all together. So 11 plus the 3 plus the 3 plus the 5 is 22. Did anybody else get 22? Good. Okay. All right. Now, here's a probability question. And the only difference is it goes P of C. Now, the classic mistake would be to go, there's 3 cat people, so I used the 3. No. If you're using 3, you're doing it wrong. P of C. Do you get there's actually 8 cat people? Out of 24. Raise your hand if you had 8 out of 24. Cool, you're getting this. There's really not that much more to this. All right. Now, there is a different kind of probability with Venn diagrams, and that's where they just put the probability in the Venn diagram. All right. So here's one where they don't copy this, just listen for a second. This is going to be apples and bananas. And I want to do the poll quick. If given a choice, and I had these fruits out, and assuming you're hungry, how many of you would be here versus how many of you would be here? I would like an apple and a banana. Or I'd really just like a banana. Or I don't want either one. Okay? Raise your hand for that spot, which is called apple only. Who would just pick the apple but don't want the banana? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many of you would be, I'll take an apple and a banana. I like them both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, how about just banana? I don't really like apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how about I really don't want either one. I don't like apples or bananas. Anti-fruit people. Okay, there's none of those. All right, so then here's my question. If I was going to make this into a probability Venn diagram, I'd have to know how many total there are. Take a second, add them all up, and you put them in the upper left-hand corner. I think it's 26 this time. And that happens. Sometimes I miscount how many hands were up, or sometimes people answer on both times, you answer twice. Or maybe there's actually 26 people and somebody didn't answer last time. So, all right, so we got 26 humans. So if I was going to make this into a probability Venn, I don't leave the 8 there. I make it into 8 out of 25, and then I make a decimal for that. Now, I can't do this one in my head unless I times it by 4 and make it 32 out of 100, and then, poof, it just turned into 0.32. You get what just happened there? It was 8, but now it's 0.32. That means there's a 32% chance of that spot. How about 13 out of 26? Isn't that exactly half? 13 out of 26? I think it is, isn't it? So then that's 0.5 right there. What I'm creating is called a probability Venn. So in the middle we now have a 0.5. This one's 5 out of 26. I have no clue what that is. So I'll ask Siri. What is 5 divided by 26?
5 divided by 26 is approximately 0.1923.
0.19. I'm cutting off the 2-3 part. All right, so again, this was 0.5. And if I did it right, these should add up 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Yeah, actually, because of a weird rounding, we end up with slightly more than 100%. All right, so if you're at slightly more or slightly less than 100%, don't stress too much. It usually is because you rounded up. Because there was rounding, and 2 different roundings aren't adding up nicely. All right, so now here's the weirdest looking question of all, but it's really not that hard if you understand the chart. P, A, intersect B. So you got to do a lot of translating in your mind. P means probability. A means apples. B means bananas. And that little upside down U thing, what does that mean? All right. Talk to the kid next to you. What do you think the answer is? This means apple, A-N-D, and banana, and these are the people like apples and bananas, which is 50% of you. That makes sense? Okay, then here's the hardest question you've had so far, just because of the symbols and the fact that it's a probability van. Given, do you remember what given changes? It's not out of 26 anymore, boys and girls. You're not going to divide by 26, and you're not going to divide by 100% either. Because I'm saying given banana, what's the probability of apple? Now remember, given changes what it's out of. It's not out of the whole chart anymore. So you can't just find the probability of apple. It'll be a fraction. You'll have to have something different than everybody on the bottom. All right. So it's some decimal over some decimal. Talk to the kid next to you. What do you think this hardest question is? Okay. So first off, it said given B. When it says given B, then that means these are the only people we can talk to. So added up, those add up to 0.69, proving once again, we live in a simulation. Okay, so it adds up to the 0.5 and the 0.19 adds up to 0.69. Now, that goes on the bottom, actually. And what we want, probability is always what we want over what was possible, right? The only things possible were these guys because we said we were only going to talk to the banana people. Now the probability of apple, of these two, that's the apple one. We can't talk to the 0.32s, so it's just 0.5. So 0.5 over 0.69. Who had that one right? I am curious. All right. You guys are getting this. Cool. So let's start your homework together. You have a nice, luxurious amount of work time today. I do have to also get your tests back to you, and we still have some people that are finishing up tests and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we'll have a lot of work time, but let's start it together. Find the PDF. It has problems 1 through 6, and you get to skip number 6. I'm trying to save you a little bit of time because it is a lot like one of the other problems. It's like extra practice, and do it if you want, but you can skip number 6. Now, unfortunately, because of a quirk in how my recording works, I can't go backwards a page, so I can't have that screen up and record at the same time, which is weird, but it records based on what page you're on, and if you go backwards, then it'll start my video with that, which is going to be really weird. So I know it's a Venn diagram. Is it a double or a triple Venn? Double. And what are the two things? What's on the left? Is it like cows, chickens? What's on the left? Of the two circles, what's what?
Sophomores.
Soph, thank you. And what's on the right? Thank you very much. What's the decimal under softs, just right here? 0.10. How about in the middle?
0.15.
Thank you. How about on the right? 0.12. And then what's left out?
0.63.
All right, cool. At a high school, these are the kids that are sophomores or sophomores and advanced algebra. So if you grabbed a random kid in the hallway, there's a 15% chance that they're a sophomore that's in advanced algebra. Okay, do you get how that works? All right, then the first thing they ask you is, what's the 0.1? So, Mr. Breen, how would you describe, and don't just say sophomore?
Kids who are only sophomores.
Only sophomore, very good. Because yes, they're sophomores, but it's more than that. They are only sophomores. They're not in advanced algebra. Okay, so only soph would be the shortest way you could say that. Okay, what's the next one, Mr. Breen, that they ask you?
What is 0.15?
0.15. Okay, so that's If you wanted to be fancy pants, you could say that's sophomores and advanced algebra. See how I used a symbol there? You didn't have to, but you could say it with words, sophomores and advanced algebra. I think you get the idea. From here, there's an answer key that you can turn to, and especially today, because I'll be doing a ton of test correcting and people explaining to people why their cumulative test came out this way or that way. Please ask the kid next to you first. Okay, look at the key. Still don't get it? Ask the kid next to you. Still don't get it? Come up and ask me. But one thing I want to warn you about, so please pay attention to this, because you're going to create a Venn, and it happens every time. Let's say this is tennis. And they say 6 people play tennis. People go, boop, wrong. Why would that be wrong if 6 people play tennis? Yes, if the 6 people play tennis, that means together this and this add up to 6. So watch out for that. I had literally 4 people last hour walk up and like, I think the key's wrong, Mr. Server. And they were all making that mistake. Like 6 people play tennis, they thought this was a 6. No. They'll tell you in the middle of the Venn diagram, I think it's a 2. And so then they're like, if 6 people play tennis, well, then this has to be a 4. There's no 6 even on the drawing. It's a total of 6 people. Do you get what I'm saying? All right, thank you for listening to that. Then you won't come up and ask me that. Well, you can try, but I'll know you weren't listening right there. Okay, so you have a bunch of work time, problems 1 through 5. That's all I got for you for today.